Buy or sell the Seahawks being the toughest matchup in the NFC West for the 49ers?
Is it Ben or is it me?
I think it's you.
I believe it's you.
Cool. So I'm actually going to sell this because I believe the team that's going to be the toughest matchup is remarkably going to be the Rams. And the reason why I think it's going to be the Rams is I think Matt Stafford is a good quarterback. I think he's an upgrade from Goff. He was the reason why Goff was the reason why the 49ers were able to have so much success with the Rams these last 4 games that they've pretty much been undefeated against them. Matt Stafford is going to be more deliberate with the ball, give them a bigger ceiling than they had with Goff, and also their running back that they have, the Cam Akers, is going to be in year 2. He obviously came on really well in the last half of the season. They're just a really talented team. They have a really strong defense. They have superstars on multiple levels in their defense, superstars on offense. So I believe that's going to be their toughest matchup. Whereas the Seahawks are pretty much just a one-trick pony in my books right now.
Yeah, I think once again I'm gonna sell this. I'm gonna go for argument's sake because I like the Rams one. That's probably that's also my most exciting. I think I really want to see the most because I think that's gonna be a shootout at the very least. I'm gonna go and say obviously the Cardinals because that's the only team I can pick. But the Cardinals because the last 4 games that the 49ers have played the Cardinals, even when they were dominant in 2019, they didn't cakewalk against them. The only time they cakewalk was the first half of Halloween, the first game in 2019. And even then, they almost choked that lead and eventually almost came back. The second game, they almost dropped that one as well. And then, obviously, they definitely laid an egg in week 1. That was atrocious. And then the fourth game, that was a nice battle. You had Verrett finally. I think everything just kind of came together, and they were just frustrated, just wanted to end it on like a good note towards the season's end and such. But I think that's going to be a good one because you have so much talent you have to go against. Even though like the coaches even though Cliff Kingsbury, Joseph, and their staff, they don't do a whole lot to really enhance their talent that much. It obviously proved to be enough to struggle against Saleh and Shanahan in terms of scheming like the last 4 games. So at least that's a respectable level. Like, oof, that's going to be a tough one for them to go against. And then even with DeAndre Hopkins, you wonder if Verrett can do the same thing. You wonder if he'll even be healthy for that game when that rolls around. And then Kyler Murray again, I think he's the better runner than Russell Wilson. He's the best runner in the league. I mean, in the division at least. And that defense, like you said, they haven't been able to contain. I mean, who does contain quarterbacks that well? But I feel like Murray always gashes them pretty tough. I feel like the only way he's going to work it out if he gets hit early and is a little scared to run. But other than that, I think that team is just way too loaded for them to try to really – they're really going to have to put on one of their best efforts to make it a game for them.
Yeah, I'm going to sell this one. I don't think it's the Seahawks as far as the toughest matchup. I think this year the toughest matchup for the 49ers is going to be the Rams. The Rams, other than the one game down to Los Angeles, have actually matched up pretty well with the 49ers throughout these games. And in both of the games last year, it was really Jared Goff that cost them the game. In the first game last year, or the second game last year, or in 2019, that was Jared Goff missing wide open receivers as well. So I think when you look at this, with the one weakness of their offense, they fixed that when they went out and got Matthew Stafford. I know they don't have the depth necessarily that maybe the 49ers or some other teams in the division do, but their top flight guys are some of the best. Jalen Ramsey is one of the best cornerbacks in the league, if not the best. That makes everybody else in that secondary better. Same thing with Aaron Donald up front. So I'm putting the Rams as the best team in the NFC West.
I'm going to buy that the Seahawks are the toughest matchup for the 49ers this year. And specifically for me, I think the Seahawks are going to be around the same level that they were last year. I don't think they got much worse. But I think if you look at the rest of the teams in the division, I wouldn't actually argue that the Cardinals have gotten much better. I know a lot of people are hopping on the Cardinals train this year, but AJ Green hasn't consistently played the last few years. I know JJ Watt's a great leader, but I don't know how much they can expect out of that guy for the next few years. And then with the Rams specifically, me and a lot of people have been jumping on board with them. But the one thing, as I think more and more about this with the Rams, that I think is going to be a huge issue for them is their depth. If you look at their roster, they got gutted in terms of their depth this offseason, because now they're spending 25% of their cap on their quarterback room. They're on Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford combined. And then when you have the high-level guys like the Aaron Donalds, the Jalen Ramsey of the world, you have to pay those guys a lot of money. So if you look at the Rams roster structure, they're so top-heavy and dependent on that talent at the top of their roster. If they falter at all, I think things could look really ugly for the Rams really quick if they get an injury in any key spot. So I would really worry about that. And then, like I said, with the Seahawks, they haven't proven to me thus far that they're going to fall off the wagon yet. And I know people keep waiting for them to fall off that wagon, but hey, similar to Tom Brady, I'm just going to keep betting that they'll be there until they aren't.
I'm going to keep going with Arizona. I know it sounds crazy because their coach is Cliff Kingsbury, and we all agree he's the worst coach in the division. But I think the thing is, I really like Kyler Murray, even though he doesn't see the field that well. I still think he's really tough to handle, and he's cheap. And the way that the Cardinals have used that money is pretty much on the defense. And that's what I don't think people understand about this team. That defense 2 years ago was the worst in the league. Now they got Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt, Jordan Phillips, Marcus Golden. They have Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons, Budda Baker. It's a really good front seven with one of the best safeties in the league and some decent corners that should be playing behind a monster pass rush. So people don't think about that defense. I think Arizona, if that head coach can figure out what he's doing, but it's a very, very difficult division. You guys made very good points.